Welcome back. Well, Audie's running around, by the way. He's been in and out of my lap. This is the 5th try I've had at filming this video because Audie has not made it easy on me. We had a thunderstorm earlier, and it had been a hot, sultry day. He had been sleeping, which is what cats do on a hot day. Suddenly, thunderstorm woke him up. Now the temperature's dropped, so it's cool, and the wind's blowing in the windows, and he's very excited, and he would like to play. He would like to play with the camera. He would like to play with the doll I'm holding in my hand. He actually stole one of my brush rollers, which I'm sure I'm going to find when it's 2 in the morning and I'm walking around barefooted, because I don't know where he took that off to, but that's going to be real unpleasant when I step on it. So, I don't know. We got to keep our fingers crossed that he sort of remains a good cat for a while. So let's see if we can pull this off. Well, today we're going to talk about why I am reluctant to accept gifts from viewers. So, we might as well just get right into it. Guess what showed up at my house today? This is a white ginger Barbie. If you want to know what a white ginger Barbie is worth, go on eBay, type in white ginger Barbie in the search engine, and hit the sold listings. Now, you're going to see quite a price range, but this doll is in really, really nice condition. No rubs to her paint. This is all original makeup. As you can see, it's all intact. I'm going to show you some pictures of her. But yeah, beautiful doll. She is the high end of that market, starting at $50 for shabby dolls that are poorly marketed, going right up to $300-400. This is one of the $300-400 dolls. One of our viewers got in touch with me and said, I have something I would like to send you. And I said, sure, thinking that it would be a $2 or $3 Goodwill plate, not a $300 or $400 Barbie doll. And this is what I got. So, of course, you know I can't keep her. I would love to. She's beautiful. You are beautiful. And usually I tell people, sure, if you want to send me something, just please understand most of these things are going to end up as giveaways, or I'm going to use them for Tidbit trays if you send me plates. I rarely keep them. I'm not keeping you. I cannot keep you. She's one that I would have kept, but no, come on, I'm fairly certain, Audie hair, I'm fairly certain that the person who sent this did not know what she was sending. I certainly didn't know what I was agreeing to receive, because I surely would have told her, no, it's crazy. You can't send me anything that valuable. So, yes, she has to go back. But while we have her, we have a beautiful white ginger Barbie that we can look at, and we can talk about how to identify these dolls. So, let's take advantage of the moment. This, as you can see, is a bubble cut Barbie doll. That means her hair is cut in this short style. This is one of the ways in which you differentiate between early dolls, the ponytails and the bubble cuts, one of the major splits among early dolls. The first 4 dolls were all ponytails, and the first 4 dolls, when we talk about that, it's the first 4 models of doll. They do not correspond to years. Barbie came out in 1959, and by 1961, the bubble cuts were coming out. So it's not like the 1951 Barbies were the number ones and the 1960s were the number twos. Not like that at all. Once you get past the first four dolls, they still made ponytail dolls, but they also introduced bubble cuts at the same time. Now, there was a lot of speculation, there's still plenty of speculation about it, that the bubble cut dolls came out because of Jackie Kennedy's hairdo. Well, Jackie Kennedy's hairdo was not a bubble. Jackie Kennedy's early hairdo was a flip. It was a completely different style. Annette Funicello's hairdo was a bubble. So, personally, I think that it was more the Annette style than the Jackie style. But, hey, it's just my personal notion. By the way, Annette Funicello did the first television commercial for Barbie. It was part of the Mickey Mouse Club. So, there's a strong Annette Barbie connection. So, anyway, we have a bubble cut Barbie. Now, I grabbed another one, brunette, so you can see. This is a number 5. Now, we know this is a number 5 because this is a greasy face doll. The vinyl used in the head for the number 5 doll is degrading over time. They're beautiful dolls, but they're coming apart. Essentially, that vinyl is deteriorating and the oils are rising to the surface, which creates this greasy faced look. But as you can see, both of these dolls have the same thin face. Number 5 is the earlier doll. She has the same facial features as the ponytails. The big red I Love Lucy lips, and her eyeshadow is blue. And you can see that. So this one is a number 6. In 1961, 1962, still has the thin face, but by number 6, which is the second edition of the bubble cuts, they brought in new colors. They brought in bubblegum pink lips, and we have this pretty blonde hair. All of the early dolls had blonde hair, by the way. The first Barbie, very first Barbie, was a brunette. And then they very quickly added blondes. So you can get number 1 dolls in blondes or brunettes, but the very first ones off the assembly line were brunettes. But this is the number 6 doll. She came out right around the same time. Remember, we're talking about 6 issues of doll coming out in the space of 3 years. So the time frame is very, very tight. This doll has a Barbie-only body, and we've talked about that. We're going to take off her suit here and show you. Right here on her butt, on this cheek, it will say Barbie, patent pending by Mattel, etc. And it will have an R, meaning registered. The earlier dolls, 1, 2, and 3, had TM, meaning trademark, and it was during the production of the number 4 dolls that it switched over from trademark to R. So some number 4s have a TM, some number 4s have an R. But after the number 4s, this one, who is a number 5, has the R. And by 1963, when they introduced Midge, it was no longer Barbie only, and it had Midge across the butt. There will be a number here on this one, on the left cheek. It's meaningless. People are always saying, my doll has a number 2 or whatever, it must be a number 2 doll. No, it's a mold mark. Yes, dear. It's a mold mark. It just, the mark right here tells you what the production number of this torso was, so that if they had any flaws on the assembly line, they could trace it back to the right mold. And you will find mold marks on the arms, on the legs, all over the dolls if you know where to look. So that particular number means nothing. I have a doll with a 44 on her butt, and believe me, there's no such thing as a number 44 Barbie. It's a meaningless number. So this little girl is a 6. That means she is the second issue of the bubble cut, and that's when they came out with different facial coloring. And in this case, this particular doll has the bubblegum pink lips and turquoise eyeshadow as opposed to the blue. Now, I don't know if you can see this. I hope you can. This one, the brunette has blue, and our blonde has turquoise. It's very slight, but that's one of the indicators of the white ginger doll. Bubblegum pink lipstick, turquoise eyeshadow, blonde, Barbie only, from the number 6 series. That's it. That is a white ginger. So why were they called white ginger? Well, they were usually strawberry blonde dolls. Some of them had lighter hair, but predominantly it was strawberry blonde, and that bubblegum pink lipstick oxidized to white. So white ginger. This doll, as you can see, still has that beautiful bubblegum pink lipstick. Don't you? Yes, you do. You're very pretty. So this is a desirable doll. There's no two ways around it. She is a white ginger with the pink lipstick that hasn't oxidized. In all likelihood, because there's no wear to this doll, in all likelihood, this doll saw very little play when she was new, got boxed away pretty quickly, and left there for 60 years. Why her lipstick didn't change color, I don't know. As I said, with the 5s and the greasy face, Mattel was playing a lot with the composition of the vinyls, with the paints. Some oxidized, some didn't. The luck of the draw, basically. You see a great deal of weird color changing in dolls from the mid-60s on the Mattel line. Remember, they were making children's toys. They were not making dialysis machines. So despite the fact that for a toy manufacturer, Mattel had pretty high standards, it was still a toy manufacturer. These were not precision instruments, and there was a lot of sort of play in it. So we have another characteristic of these dolls that you will see very often. Let's see if you can see. I don't know if you can see. Her fingernail polish is not red. It's coral. Let's see if you can see this little girl. Hers is red. That was another characteristic of the later dolls. By the time you got into later 1961 into 1962, they were getting away from the sharp reds. Red makeup, lipstick, nail polish was very popular in the 50s, but as we moved into the 60s, it was different. It was pinks, it was corals, it was peach. And so she has coral nail polish. Now, her toenail polish is also coral, although very often you will see red toenail polish mixed with pink or coral fingernail polish, because for some reason it took them a while to change out the toenail polish. So that's how you tell a white ginger doll from an ordinary bubble cut doll. Barbie only body, and that means Barbie no midge, If you take this head off, which we're not going to do, it will have the disc-shaped neck knob, not the rounded one. The rounded neck knob is with the Midge Barbie body. This is a hollow body, not a solid body, does not smell like crayons. She has a tight bubble. The early dolls had tighter bubbles than the later dolls who had fluffier bubbles. The thin face, and that thin face goes with this body, so we know the body and face are correct. An ordinary blonde bubble cut has blonde hair, any color of lipstick, blue eyeshadow. This one has turquoise eyeshadow and the bubblegum pink lips, which often turn to white. So that's how you tell the white ginger. Now this is lovely. She came with a lot of clothing. The clothing is not in great shape, but I've already written to the person who sent this, and I've explained that it has to go back. It's too expensive. And I've told her that even the clothing, which has been very played with and, it's showing signs of wear, that clothing can be thrown out in a lot, a group of clothing, just listed as a TLC lot, and it will probably easily fetch $50 to $100. So what do we have? We have a doll that's up to $400 and a lot of clothing that has wear, but still could go up to $100. Who knows, maybe more. Those TLC lots are very hard to predict. So somebody basically just sent me a gift that's probably worth about $500. Can I accept? No, I can't. Of course not. My goodness, no. No, I cannot. So this is why I'm reluctant to accept gifts from viewers. It's fine if it's small, if it's a throwaway, I got these dishes at Goodwill, or another woman who was writing to me at the same period had said, my neighbor gave me a whole bunch of stuff, and, it's like, if you don't take it, I'm going to have to bring it to the thrift store. Sure, that's fine. Thank you. I'm grateful. But $500 worth of dolls and doll clothes, no, I can't do that. I can't. So my goodness, I'm so grateful for the thought. But for those of you who wonder why it is I am reluctant to accept things, this right here, this is why. I was like, oh my goodness, no, of course not. So she's got to go back. We've got to go back. I'm so sorry. I'm going to miss her. I'm already getting attached to her. She's beautiful. She really is beautiful. All right, so now that I'm getting misty-eyed over the doll, it has to go back. Let's take a look at word origins and their romantic stories. All right, terms of science and the professions. Pupil, just a doll. So very appropriate. When we see a group of young pupils sitting in a classroom, they'll look a bit like little dolls. No, they don't. That was written by someone who never stood in front of a classroom full of little children. And that's why the word pupil came from the Latin term pupilla, little doll. And when we have the other English word pupil, the pupil of your eye, when we look at another person in the eye, we often see a minute image of oneself reflected there, and this miniature picture also reminded the Romans of a pupilla, or little doll. So pupilla contributed the word pupil to us with a second meaning, the pupil of your eye. And it is very interesting to know that the Jews were drawn into the same figure of speech. The Hebrew words for the pupil of the eye were Eshan Ayin, or little man of the eye. Quarantine. Well, is that appropriate? 40 days. The length of time that a ship is now held in quarantine varies with the nature of the contagious disease that is suspected of being aboard. But in years ago, the quarantine was for a flat 40 days. The word quarantine comes eventually from the Latin quadraginta, 40, and this magic number 40 has several uses in our language. Quarantena, for example, was the medieval Latin name given to the desert where Christ fasted for 40 days, and in the early Roman Catholic Church, a quarantine was a penance or a fast lasting for the same period of time. Now it is an indulgence corresponding to such a penance. In the common law, we have the widow's quarantine, which permits the bereaved woman to live in her deceased husband's house for a period of 40 days after his death. It would seem that there is a bit of religious significance in this mystic number 40. Oh, by the way, the widow and the quarantine, we should just throw that in, was because it was to determine if she was carrying his child, and they figured 40 days was enough time to sort that one out. Not necessarily, but that's what they thought. Quinsy choked a dog. Now let's figure this one out. The Greeks called a sore throat kainanchi, from kaion, dog, and ancho, choke. This word illustrates in its career the dramatic shifts in spelling that can occur. In medieval Latin, kainanchi became quinancia, which entered Middle English as quinsy, which is, well, the spelling's different. Later, quinsy, the quinsy sore throat that we have today. I personally have never heard of a quinsy sore throat, so I'm going to assume this was something that was popular in the 50s that has sort of passed. All right, one more. Scholar. Leisure to study. To be a true scholar, one must have leisure for reading, research, meditation, and intelligent discussion. So it isn't strange to find that our word scholar is from the Greek word schole, which means leisure. Later, when philosophers such as Aristotle and Plato taught groups of young men, the early classes were termed scholae. This passed into Latin as schola, school, and so gave us school, scholar, and all the related words. But the word school, as used in the phrase a school of fish, is from an entirely different source. It comes down to us from the Dutch word school, which is related to the Old English term skolu, which meant a band of people. All right, very interesting. Okay, I'm going to show you a picture of this little girl because I'm going to snap some photos of her before she has to get packed in a box and go back home again. And, goodbye. Say goodbye. All right, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.